zooming out and zooming in for the first game, a total blowout. 45-10 was the end score here in Oxford, Mississippi, between Ole Miss and Tulane. Going into the weekend, we had both of these teams ranked. I think it was pretty interesting to see the lines that were being set. I think going into it, at least the last time we saw it, it was a minus 13 point difference in favor of the Rebels, who also continued their streak going back to the late 80s against the Green Wave, which was also kind of interesting when I was going and digging through this game a little bit, just in the history. They've been playing each other quite a bit back in the last century. They've only played each other, including the game that we're talking about here, 6 times in the 21st century. And there, I think it's an overall 74 meetings between, again, the Green Rebels and the Green Wave and the Rebels. But again, Tulane falls, unfortunately. They played back in 2023. That game was a hell of a lot closer than this one. And on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, Tulane went into that contest with a backup quarterback. In this one, they came in with Jake Retzlaff, and him and his fellow Tulane teammates went down pretty hard. Could not move the ball. Had a very bad time scoring in general. Usually Tulane likes scoring early. Was not the case here against Ole Miss. They were more than ready to stop Jake Retzlaff, kind of the focal point of the, again, Tulane offense. The transfer quarterback coming in from BYU had a, again, tough night. He went 5 for 17 for only 56 yards. Then Brendan Sullivan came in and kind of didn't have much of a better game. It's kind of when the backups were rolling in. Retzlaff also on the ground, 8 carries for 51 yards. Then on top of that, was not sacked at all, which was kind of surprising and kind of how bad of a night Tulane's offense had. I think it was a total of 282 yards, 178 on the ground. It wasn't too bad, as that was kind of the only thing they can really do against Ole Miss. Could not pass the ball again whatsoever. 5 for 17 for the veteran Retzlaff. Which I think is a kind of interesting sign for Ole Miss, is that their defensive line might not be the best run defense, but the secondary and what they had going into this season looks like it's working somewhat. They had a ton of transfers, just as many as they had in the wide receiver positions and at the offensive line. But Lane Kiffin doing Lane Kiffin things and being able to get new players to acclimate to his new system. One of those new players that had a hell of a night was Trinidad Chablis, the former Ferris State quarterback, filling in for Austin Simmons, and he might again be the guy like we talked about in our preview going into this game. And that might have happened on accident with, again, Simmons going down in the end of the Kentucky game. Chablis filling in, didn't even throw a pass in that contest against the Wildcats. Last week obliterated what was Arkansas a little bit there. Unfortunately, the Ole Miss defense there couldn't hold the Razorbacks back enough to why it was a 1-possession game, I think, at the end of it. Here, they just had it prepared. They knew what Tulane was going to be doing, and it's kind of simple. I mean, Jake Retzlaff is, again, the key to success for this offense, and if you could shut him down, make him have a bad night, which, I mean, he's already had a pretty decent season. He still hasn't thrown an interception. He had a fumble, if I'm not mistaken, in this game, and that would have been one of the 2 turnovers here. Actually, no, it wasn't a fumble. It was an interception by Sullivan. Regardless, again, not turning the ball over, just couldn't get anything going. Ole Miss, again, shutting it down with a no-fly zone. My score prediction was a 2-point difference. Again, I thought Tulane would have made this a hell of a lot better fight. But we favored Ole Miss going into it. And it was kind of interesting because we were flipping back and forth. And I'm kind of glad that we made that final flip in favor of the Rebels. but they win by more than 2 points. That is 35 points in total. 45-10 is the end result. We thought, again, Tulane would have slowed them down there in the first half, which I guess they kind of did somewhat. I think in more or less in the first quarter. And then opening up the second half was kind of interesting. When I went to go look back at the play-by-play, there was a pretty long drive by Tulane, but they ended it on downs. Didn't capitalize on any kind of points there. And that was kind of their whole night, was just not getting the job done and finishing drives. And why this game ended up being 45-10. As that's the first game we are reviewing. And we got it right. As we zoom out and zoom back in.